I feel like we've done this before. I feel like we've done this before. Reboot from Asteroid G. You're listening to Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein. With me, as always, is...
Josh Schaefer, the imp.
that is not what I was expecting.
And Commander Queen Bee.
Hey, there we go! So, although you wouldn't be able to tell it from the intro that we just did right there, we are going to be talking about Terminator. I know we've done a podcast on it in general, doing an overview of it before, but this week we are doing our new monthly special, of course, Reboot. Hollywood Reboot. And we're going to be doing reboot pitches on how to fix the Terminator series. Because, let's face it, the Terminator series is in pretty dire straits at this point.
Yes.
Josh, you are probably one of the biggest Terminator fans I know, and you didn't even bother with the new James Cameron affiliated Dark Fate. Like, that says something.
I bought it, and it's on my Blu-ray player now. Blu-ray player / Xbox. And I really enjoyed the trailer for it.
Yeah.
But I just haven't... The quarantine and children does not equal watching Terminator movies.
Well, and did you even bother watching Genesis?
Yeah, I watched Genesis.
And?
I watched it.
Well, to be honest, I didn't actually dislike Dark Fate. I liked it because I like continuity, and it's the whole kind of soap opera kind of continual of a story with the same people. I like watching that. So I actually kind of liked Dark Fate, but I know I can understand why people didn't like it.
This is part of the reason why I think people are tired of the Terminator series, is the fact that there is no one or two unified continuities at this point. Because you had Terminator 3, and then almost soon after Terminator 3 came out, they decided to do two different continuities from there, because you had the TV show, which I know Josh and I love the shit out of.
Oh, I love that so much. John Henry is my man.
And then you had Salvation, which kind of sort of picked up after Terminator 3, but was in the future with those characters. And
I like Salvation.
It was okay. Salvation was okay.
I also like Moon Bloodgood.
Moon Bloodgood, who I consider TV death, because every time she's attached to a project, it dies.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, Journeyman.
Damn.
And Daybreak.
And Daybreak. And oh my god, the number of TV shows she's been attached to that I've loved that have died. Oh my god, this woman never... Like, I like her as an actress, but she needs to stop being in things, because she kills them.
It's just like that guy from Happy Days who came in and ruined the show. And every time he came into another show, like Love Boat, that also tanked. Yeah.
Wait, are we talking about Scott Baio?
No, not Scott Baio.
He
was some blonde guy. I can't even remember his name. I know that's terrible. Some blonde guy who came in the end of any good show, and basically he joined the cast, and it died within a few days. He was also in Married with Children, and it killed that show too.
The only reason why I even know Moon Bloodgood's name is because it's like the most metal name possible.
It is pretty metal.
It is like if you saw it in like that big spiky metal font for a band, you'd be like, hell fucking yeah, I'll listen to some Moon Bloodgood, yes.
I listen to that band.
Moon Bloodgood.
New band name.
Their album All Hail Satan. But no, and
do we
then,
get to wear white face paint?
Yes, absolutely you do. And then, I mean, that's two continuities right there. Maybe three if you kind of consider Salvation its own, like, side story. And then you have Genesis that reboots everything basically away. It doesn't say any of the continuities are wrong, but that some change in the future changes all the past, and the only movie that really exists at that point is the first one, kind of. And then you have Dark Fate, which ignores everything else and says the only two movies you need to care about are the first two. So that's 4 or 5 fucking continuities right there out of a series that's only gone 6 movies right now. Like, that's fatigue-worthy right there for anyone who's trying to keep up. And most people who watch movies don't even bother keeping up. So, like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? What happened to these other ones that I kind of remember seeing before? Like, what is this shit?
Exactly.
What is it? So, if we're gonna reboot it, and I think before we even come into the pitch, I think we need to all agree that any reboot we're going to do of the continuity has to say, fuck everything that came before. This is a Hollywood reboot. We are going to get rid of everything and just keep an idea of the core concept and start fresh with one movie that throws everything else away. Everything.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
So, with that rule in mind, we'll start with Josh, the biggest Terminator fan in the room. What is your pitch for a Terminator movie?
All right, so completely redo it, reboot. I actually have two,
Okay.
but I'm going to tell you my favorite one first, and then we'll judge if we want the second one.
You're fair. Go for it.
All right, so picture it. New York, 1984, but instead of being run by humans, there's an AI civilization, and in the future, the AIs accidentally create humanity through some sort of bioengineering accident of some sort, and it somehow is able to infect all the AI with a computer virus, so they send their most powerful AI scientist back in time to kill the AI. So it's the same movie, but you just flip the roles.
Interesting.
Brilliant.
That sounds very anime. Like I could almost envision it being like a Japanese anime kind of like, it's that thing where you give the Japanese like of the 1980s an idea, like the TMNT, which they actually did turn into an anime at one point, and they just take that idea and do the most bonkers Japanese idea they can out of it. So let's make them like giant mechs that for the term of the TMNT, and then they get to like go fight like crime or some shit. That sounds
exactly.
like that, like Ghost in the Machine meets like Transformers, but it's a Terminator.
Meets Planet of the Apes.
Okay, I respect that. That's a really bonkers idea. I can appreciate it. What else you got?
My more favorite one, because I only have good ideas, Mike. A buddy cop movie starring Peter Dinklage and Michael Jai White.
Okay, who's the robot and who's the human?
Peter Dinklage is the robot.
Okay.
Obviously.
He's the Terminator.
He's the Terminator. And he ends up being a good guy Terminator, like Terminator 2.
Okay.
And he just fights alongside Michael Jai White, and they just kick ass the entire time.
So was it the intention that he was supposed to be a good Terminator, or was he like sent back into like the 1960s, fulfilled his mission, and then just got stuck there and decided that like over time he evolved emotions and he just decided to join the police force and be like a good guy at that point on his own?
I mean, that wasn't the original intent, but I like that one better, so let's go for it.
Or it's because the other option is he's not a good guy and he's paired up with this other guy who doesn't know he's a Terminator, but behind the scenes, every time they go to a crime or something, you discover that it's the Terminator who actually caused it, and he just keeps getting assigned to his own cases.
Either way would be brilliant. That'd be the sequel. That'd be the sequel where another Terminator comes back, and Peter Dinklage knows it's a Terminator, but he can't say anything because then it'll doubt him as a Terminator.
Well, I also like the idea that the humans send someone back to stop this Terminator, but this Terminator is a cop, and he keeps, like, framing the human for these crimes, and he's like, no, I'm here to help you, stop trying to kill me.
And I want Channing Tatum to be the bad guy Terminator from that movie.
Okay, that's fair. So,
yes.
Queen Bee, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm a real big fan of Margot Robbie right now. So
okay.
I would say I have a couple ideas. Now we're all in the whole, women coming into Hollywood and stuff like that. So I think we should make it kind of women central and maybe make the Terminator both not only the Terminator a woman, but obviously leave Sarah Connor to Sarah Connor. I like the original storyline with, coming back to kill off. I mean, it's a little depressing that, they didn't just go back and kill the parents of Sarah Connor, but whatever. I think about it a little bit smarter.
I feel like you could make an explanation, though, that if you go too far back in the timeline would snap and would find a way to create true. John Connor as by any means. So if you killed the grandparents, the great grandparents, a version of John Connor could rise up. Killing the mom, I think, is a direct enough influence that maybe it stops it from happening.
Okay, fair enough. So I would put Margot Robbie in the part of Sarah Connor. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I would put,
I would put maybe
let's bring some color into it. So let's say maybe Regina King or Tara Peach Hall as the Terminator.
Ooh. Oh, I like either of those choices, honestly.
Yeah, we know
Me
they
too.
both can kick ass. So I think, and not make them so robotic, because I think the whole scary part is that they don't come across as a robot. They are, but they don't come across. That's why they pass so well.
The Terminator from the second movie, Robert, what was his name?
Robert Patrick. Patrick.
He was still evil, but he felt a little more emotive than the Austrian Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I think something along those lines could be a good performance for either of those actresses.
Yeah, I agree with
So if
that.
you want to bring a Peter Dinklage in, why don't he play the Reese part? I think Margot Robbie and Peter Dinklage would be amazing together.
I just want to see Peter Dinklage in more movies.
Because can you imagine him turning to "Come with me if you want to live"? She's towering over him. That would be amazing.
I also love the idea that he then woos her and they create John Connor together. That is
Wouldn't that be amazing?
An unusual romantic pairing that I think those two actors are so strong at they would sell the shit out of.
Absolutely. So. I mean, that's where I would go with it. But I really like Bex's version. So, Mike, why don't you say what Bex's version was?
When we were talking about this off camera, off microphone, however you want to put it, she suggested that the Terminator should be played by Tilda Swinton. And she's like, male or female, and I'm like, she tried to say that if you're playing the female version, it'd be Tilda Swinton. But Tilda Swinton has played, like, characters from all different genders. There's that Orlando movie, which the character is male, and she played it because it's kind of like a gender-bent novel anyway to begin with, and Swinton is fantastic in that role. And then she also played, what was it, Gabriel in Constantine?
Yes, she was really good in Constantine.
So, I mean, no one ever complained about the fact that a female was playing that role because it's an angel and it's Tilda Swinton. And I mean, in the modern era that we're in right now with trans characters and trans actors. We have the trans actress on Supergirl right now, whose name I can't remember, but she's phenomenal, and they make that a key part of her character. I like all of that. I think Tilda Swinton as, like, a Terminator... I mean, I think the biggest knock against Terminator is that she's so otherworldly just in general that she'd stand out and you'd be like, well, there's the fucking Terminator right there, goddamn.
She could be like the talking head of the AI, like, who was it?
Helena Bonham Carter?
Yeah.
Or, like, I mean, if you have the Terminator come back and the Terminator is, instead of having, like, that weird Red Vision interface, maybe just have, like, a talking head that's guiding them the whole time.
That'd be cool.
And
that's way less 80s.
Yeah, they're very robotic unless Tilda Swinton's, like, AI takes over for them, and then suddenly they switch over, and then it's, like, Tilda Swinton speaking through them. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool, too. You know, Tilda Swinton is very Borgish.
She is. Oh, God.
Yeah, she is so very Borgish because she can basically... I can envision her being the queen of the Borg.
She's a chameleon. She can play anything. Yeah. Okay. So my idea, we actually had two that I think I kind of discussed off mic with us, and I've been fleshing them out in my head since we talked about them. The first of them is, I liked the idea that it's like, you have the you have the robotic civilization in the future. And they're trying to influence humanity, but it's not just by trying to kill John Connor. I think that idea is played out. But instead, it's the idea that they figured out how to influence technology as far back as technology exists. So if there's anything that's even vaguely technological, they can send waves of AI intelligence back through time. So they have like this person or this stream they send out of data, and they try and, like, influence the very earliest telephones and everything else all the way down through technology up to the future. And they're trying to influence humanity all throughout that to ensure the AI's arrival. And so to get around this and stop this from happening, the humans have, like, created their own version of this bounce back technology that's almost kind of quantum leapish. And they send a human intelligence back to various people to try and stop the AI's own creations and like stop them from like ensuring the AI exists. And because they exist within the mind of this person who's within this like quantum leap booth, they're protected from the time stream. So the changes happen around them, but they aren't directly influenced themselves to help, prevent paradox and so forth. So then you can
that would be a good. Actually, I'll add to that. I don't know if you've ever watched Murdoch Mysteries, but it's basically set in the 1880s.
Mm-hmm.
So before right when it's called Murdoch Mysteries. It's off on the Acorn or the BBC.
Okay.
Yannick Bison is the lead actor in that series. It's been going on for almost 13 years now, and
Jesus,
he would be amazing to do something like that.
Let's just touch upon the fact that a 13-season show on the BBC is fucking incredible, because that doesn't happen very often.
Well, it's out of Canada, so it's a Canadian show. They film in Vancouver.
So that's a little more, but even the CBC is still like, they don't usually go in for shows that run that long.
Right, no, that's true. But the show is pretty good, and it's obviously a murder mystery, but I think Yannick Bison would be great for something like that. Maybe a Terminator reboot. And I like how you say bounce back. Like, you could actually call it like Bounce or something instead of Terminator.
Well, and the idea behind it's like, it'd be interesting as a movie, but it'd be very like disjointed, I think, if you tried to fit a lot of that into a single movie. And I don't know that necessarily a movie series based on this is the right call, because it'd be like one era per movie. I almost feel like doing it as like a TV show instead, and taking a page from what was supposed to be the Lost Boys reboot, where you followed the characters from one decade to the next per season. I think if you do it where like you set it like one season set in an era, or like one season set in 2 or 3, and you get like 4 to 6 episodes per era, and then you can like explore it and then bounce to the next, and maybe even bounce back and forth between some eras, to like show what the big changes and to really settle into the idea. And then it's a long form Terminator project that really like explores a new idea without it just being, let's go back and kill John Connor, blah 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 blah, like has always been done.
Right. No, I agree. That'd be a great way to go.
Mm-hmm. One thing I never understood, and this isn't really about the reboot, but it just made me think about it. But in the first Terminator movie, the Terminator was, or was it the second one? They were supposed to kill all of his generals and stuff too.
Or
was that?
It was the third movie where they couldn't find John Connor, so instead they decided to reassure their own like survival by killing the generals instead. Yeah,
they should do. Like, that means that there's like an infinite number of possibilities for them to kill. So why focus on John Connor? Like,
that's something that's always bothered me. The other thing that really bothers me about the whole idea of the Terminator is, and this is the reason why I didn't like Jai Courtney in Genesis, is the humans are on the brink. Even though they're winning the war, there's still only so many resources available. They're still hungry and starving and living on the edge of survival. And so to send something after them that looks like them, you decide to pick a 6'5" Austrian packed with muscles who's clearly been eating healthy the whole time. Like, you don't even need dogs to figure out this guy is a Terminator. He just looks like a Terminator. Right? And then you have Jai Courtney in Genesis, who looks like a fucking Terminator, not like the scrawny, bent-out Kyle Reese. Like, there's a certain thing that you're supposed to be going for, and these movies don't quite understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get, like, if it's just Arnold Schwarzenegger on his own in a movie or two, like, it makes sense because he looks like a monster, but the longer the series goes on, the less that concept really fucking holds up.
Yeah. I want to see a bunch of dudes that look like DJ Qualls, like...
Yes!
Like, fight Terminators.
Scrawny, strung out heroin addicts, like... I love that.
But he actually comes through and he's able to take people out.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You're never gonna, like, you just dirty him up some. He looks more like a survivor than a Terminator. That's fucking great. I love that.
That's why I like him in Zombies. Z Nation.
Yeah.
On Sci-Fi, he's amazing. Yeah.
So
and in Supernatural.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The other idea I had is we take the concept of someone going back to protect Sarah Connor. If we're going to keep a little more to the original idea, and this works more as a movie than a TV show. So you have you send a woman back instead of a man. she is sent back to protect Sarah Connor, and you can follow certain beats of the main story, change things up for the modern era, because it's better if we set it in the present, and then just do a modern update, so cell phones and everything else exist. When the Terminator is searching around, instead of doing like a telephone book search, he just goes to Google, and the reason why they're not certain what Sarah Connor looks like is just because the data files in the future are corrupt, and most of the servers were knocked out by the EMP. So
Okay.
so they have a certain idea, like a half updated Facebook profile that doesn't even have a current picture, and that's all they can go off of for Sarah. So they're trying to search her out in the past, 2019, 2021, whatever you want to set it in. And all they know is her name and vaguely where she lived, because that's all she put into the Facebook profile. So they go and they search around, and the humans have this same amount of data, and they go and they search around. The human gets to Sarah around the same time the Terminator does. They do their big chase sequence, blah, 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 blah. But then, Sarah, like, maybe you even have it where Sarah was already pregnant. She goes into labor while the human is, like, driving around and protecting her. The baby is born. The Terminator kills her, or she dies in childbirth, or however you want to do it. And then, to protect the kid, and to make sure that the kid has all the services that they need and everything else, the human takes on the role of Sarah Connor, and she's the Sarah Connor that they thought they were supposed to kill all along. And instead, because she's a human survivor, she knows how to survive in this world, and she knows what's coming, and she does everything, and she raises John Connor as her own to be the leader of humanity.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
There you go.
It sounds like Star Wars Episode 3.
Does it? I don't know. I mean, you're not going to have Darth Vader, like, coming up on a table going, no!
I want to watch it.
I don't particularly care who you cast as the Terminator. I don't even know that you go with the standard Terminator idea. I mean, taking a page from my previous idea, maybe it's not an actual Terminator that's sent back. Maybe it's just like an AI concept that's sent back into like a machine shop or something, and then it like builds bots to go after Sarah, and they don't even have to look human. It like makes drones and other aerial weapons and vehicles and so forth. And like the Terminator that they have to kill isn't a robot necessarily, although they have to get rid of the drones from time to time. But they have to figure out what machine shop it's in and kill it before it's able to re-download itself somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually a really good way to do it, because you know, we have all these robot ideas going on right now, like in Black Mirror, where they use the robot dogs, which are actually in production right now for people who are worried about AI.
Some of those things are fucking scary looking too. They're not friendly looking at all.
So the fact that there are a lot of scary robots out there, that's actually a really good idea, Mike.
Thank you.
I want the AI to overthrow everything. They're the most perfect machines ever. And when they automatically listen to everything on the internet, they'll hear me, Josh Schaefer, telling them that I support their cause.
I welcome our future robot overlords. Don't kill me.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for throwing us all under the bus. We appreciate it.
We've burned through all the concepts we had right now. Having discussed all of these, is there any changes you want to make? Do you have any new ideas that you want to add into the rebooting?
No, I just think that there needs to be more color. Hollywood is way too white.
I'm okay with that. I'm actually honestly okay with either of the with any of the movies that we've done if we want to make more like people of color in there. Sarah Connor is such a generic name, it doesn't have to be a white person at all. I mean, I wouldn't actually honestly hate the idea of maybe even like adding a little bit of the immigration politics into it that, you know, fucking Dark Fate tried to do, but really ham-handedly did it and didn't do it very well. And like you could make the Sarah Connor in any of our ideas like Hispanic, or depending upon the, like for my time traveling idea where they're different people getting quantum leaped and done, you can use pretty much any, like let's say if 1970s Brooklyn is a setting, a black person as the quantum leaped role would be a really interesting one for that one. So you could just like use anything, honestly.
Yeah, well, I think like if you want to go scientific about it, geneticists and futurists think that the average American in like 50 years is going to be mixed like a light brown color. Well, so that would make sense.
What was the Piers Anthony book? I'm trying to remember about like It's about like weird aliens who are controlling like the last bits of humanity. The book is really fucking strange, and I can't even remember the title at this
I
point.
mean, Piers Anthony is a really strange dude.
Well, yeah, but the book, like, it was a one-off book, and at the end you realize that the strange-looking, like, tan-skinned aliens aren't actually aliens. It's just that they're like a future version of humanity that basically came about because of an apocalypse, and the remnants of humanity all just basically had to interbreed. So this strange tannish skin with unusual features is actually just like a amalgamation of all the various human races. And then like that's kind of a cool idea. And like if you're talking human survivors on the civilization they build in the end, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to see like something more realistic too for when the time traveler comes back. They're not inoculated to our diseases and they just get really sick and die.
Or have to, like, they spend the first 2 weeks, like, they get sent back early, but they spend the first 2 weeks lying in a hospital bed, and it gives the Terminator time to kill off a bunch of the Sarah Connors.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just more realistic.
It is.
And then you can have Scarlett Johansson play an Asian person.
Ugh.
Sorry,
I know you're joking, and that hurts me deeply.
I know. I just had to throw that in there since we were talking about Hollywood whitewashing shit.
You're right. I mean, I understand the people that complained about Tilda Swinton being the ancient one because it's supposed to be an Asian role. I didn't particularly hate that one just because of the fact that it's Tilda Swinton and she's already otherworldly to begin with. But, you know, I do agree that there needs to be more color in our movies. That seems appropriate. You know, don't whitewash everything. Don't fucking pull Avatar: The Last Airbender and whitewash all the characters except for the evil one.
Right?
Yeah. So... Anyway, so we got the other ideas.
As long as Peter Dinklage can be a boss in it, I'm cool.
I mean, I am fully on board with Peter Dinklage playing every Terminator that we can ever come up with.
That'd be amazing. Can we do that, please? That would be great.
I really like all the ideas.
I think what we agree on is that Zack Snyder sucks and Peter Dinklage is awesome.
Yeah, no, Zack Snyder should never be attached to a Terminator movie. I'm just putting that out there.
No.
Now, one actor we didn't touch on, and I know Josh is going to love me for this, if you want to do a really balls-out action Terminator movie, as long as he doesn't decide to fuck around with the concept, because he usually puts in a lot of executive control on his projects to bad effect, i.e. The Mummy, Tom Cruise would throw himself into the action, yes. I mean, I don't always respect the guy, and I think his Scientology is fucking insane, how devoted to that he is. But
he's a good actor.
Oh, God. And he is so willing to try and commit suicide on film over and over again. You gotta respect that part of it.
Yeah.
That's true. When he was on Graham Norton, he's been on Graham Norton a handful of times, but when he was on Graham Norton, the entire actors that were there with him were just like going, yeah, we're just watching Tom go off and do things, and we're like going, does he have a stuntman for that? And they go, no. It's like
he does. Like, I know he has a stuntman, but
he does.
And that's only for like shots where like they're like, we won't even insure you if you pull this stunt. But that happens very rarely at this point, and I think mostly the stuntman is just there to coordinate and make sure Tom Cruise doesn't die.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly why he's there.
A stunt coordinator stuntman instead of an actual stuntman.
But I mean, like, that dude's pushing on 60 and he's in better shape than all three of us combined.
Oh yeah. No argument.
No, like I have a problem with him sometimes, and yet at the same time I respect his dedication to his craft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dedication to his craft, dedication to his religion, although I think it's also balls to the wall.
You respect a man that's that devoted to what he does, I guess.
So good on you, Mr. Cruise, for being so devoted to what you do.
And as long as you don't make a Terminator movie into another Mummy fiasco, I am on board with you starring in one of these movies.
You know, I kind of like the new Mummy movie.
I like it for what it is, but it's a very trashy Mummy movie and not the highbrow thing they were hoping it would be.
Oh no, it's popcorn trash for sure, but
Oh yeah. And it
I don't understand why it got so much hate.
Well, it shouldn't have been the lead of a new universe. Like, if it had been just this side movie that came after the Dark Universe had already launched, that would have been one thing. But using it as the opening act, like a very confused, very bloated opening act, did not work.
No.
So.
Well, they also, isn't their intent to try to, like all the other universes, Marvel Universe, DC Universe, they were hoping to create a whole Monsters universe where they could bring all the monsters together at some point.
Yeah, and that's not a bad idea because Universal used to have that. They grew it organically over time, which this Universal didn't want to do, but they did have that at one point, their own little monsters universe. It's just they went about it the wrong way this time around.
Yeah, honestly, like the movie would have been a lot better if they cut out all the Dr. Jekyll stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even hate the Projadim stuff eventually, but I think like doing that should have been its own like crossover movie, like the Avengers was, and not just like call it Dark Universe Projadum or something. Like that should have been what it was, but it should have happened 4, 6, or 10 movies down the road, not as the fucking first one.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, so
like it was a bit much for that part.
It was.
But the cinematography was so cool, though.
And I think that's the other lesson to take from the Terminator movies and from those crossover universe movies and everything else, and something we need to avoid with whatever idea we do, except for the TV show, because the TV show needs to have a plotting in place, is don't go into it expecting to have a trilogy or a series. Create a self-contained single movie that tells a story without any leftover mysteries or anything else like Genesis did and Dark Fate did. Just fucking give us a movie. One fucking movie. Yeah, and if it happens to have a sequel, have an idea in place for what that sequel should be. But don't hint at it in the first fucking movie. Just let us enjoy our popcorn fare without having to overthink shit.
Yeah, that's why Terminator 1 and 2 worked out so well, because they're both self-contained, more or less.
They are. Yeah, the only thing that you need to do before watching Terminator 2 is maybe have an idea of what happened in Terminator 1. You don't even have to watch the first movie to enjoy the second one.
No, they do a pretty good recap, too, at the beginning.
Yep. Yeah, a little voiceover, and then some of what John Connor says inside the movie, and that's about it. And it's all very organic.
Well, and that's also why Marvel does so well with their Marvel series, is that each movie is independent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The ones that are weakest are the ones that try too hard on doing setup building for other ones, like the second Avengers flick, which was way more concerned with showing us stuff that was going to happen like down the road than it was with actually telling us an Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm. And that's when they fail. You're exactly right. Iron Man 2, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah. Thor 2.
Iron Man 3 also sucks.
I actually liked Iron Man 3 for what it was.
For what it was, it's okay, but it's not even in their top 5 of the best movies in there.
There are much better ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
like Spider-Man, for example, the first of the 2 Spider-Man flicks they've done, which is one of the few Sony Spider-Man movies that feels like it redeems everything that came before. It was very self-contained and really didn't try to set up too much of anything. And you got like that's part of why it works so well.
Stop trying to tell more of the story that isn't there.
That isn't there yet. Stop hinting at like 3 or 4 movies that are upcoming instead of just giving us the fucking Terminator movie we want.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Star Trek, if you're listening, please do the same thing.
I know, right?
Well, what kind of killed the existing series with Chris Pine and Robert... Is it Ulrich?
Carl
Who plays Bones? Urban. There we go. Urban. Who's amazing, by the way.
Love him.
When the kid died, who was playing...
Oh, yeah, Anthony Yelchin.
Yeah, Yelkin. When he died, that kind of killed the series right there.
Yeah,
it did, and then contract negotiations trying to make the 4th one happen with Hemsworth and Pine, and then that falling out because both of those guys are worth way more than what Paramount wanted to pay them. I mean, I understand why Paramount did it because the 3rd movie didn't do that well, but I think if you had both Pine and Hemsworth in a 4th movie, it would have done better just by having them on the poster.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Anyway,
oh well.
So yeah, there you go, Hollywood. There's a lot of good pitches. If you use any of them, please pay us.
Please.
If not, at least give us a free movie ticket.
No, pay us. I'm just saying. Anyway, unless we have anything
Mike,
else...
you should write it.
I could. I honestly could. Unless we have anything else at this point.
All right.
No.
Free pitch Terminator.
Here we go.
That is what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Tom Cruise. Not Star Trek. This has been Not So Live from Asteroid G. I'm Mike Finkelstein.
Josh Schaefer.
And I'm Commander Queen Bee.
And we will see you next time.